Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're jumping right into a massive, honestly unprecedented development that has totally captured the nation's attention. We're looking directly at the official notification from the National Testing Agency, the NTA, regarding the sudden cancellation and re-examination of the NEET UG 2026 exam. I know this is a highly complex, incredibly high-stakes situation for so many of you, but we're going to break it all down step by step. We're sticking strictly to the official source material so you get the exact verified facts. All right, let's dive right into this.
Just listen to this incredibly powerful quote from the NTA. The present examination process could not be allowed to stand. Wow, that is some seriously heavy, definitive language coming from a national testing body, right? It instantly sets the stakes here. I mean, millions of students sit for this exam, preparing for literal years. So for the NTA to just come out and declare that the entire process is fundamentally untenable, it means something deeply systemic happened. Our main goal in this explainer is to understand the why and the what next behind that exact sentence.
All right, Section 1, the NEET 2026 cancellation. Let's look at the sequence of events.
Look at how incredibly fast this all went down. Everything kicked off on May 3rd, when the NEET UG exam was initially conducted. But notice how quickly things shift here. Just 5 days later, on May 8th, the NTA was already referring matters to central agencies for independent verification. 2 days after that, May 10th, they put out an initial press release. And boom, that brings us to the present, the official full cancellation of the exam and the mandate for a retest. Seeing it laid out like this really drives home that this was not some slow, drawn-out debate. Once they examined the inputs from law enforcement, the decision to cancel was swift.
Moving right along to Section 2, the investigation and the CBI's role in finding accountability. The fundamental dilemma the NTA faced really boils down to one single word: trust. The official text states this drastic measure was taken, and I quote, in recognition of the trust on which the national examination system rests. To their credit, the NTA is pretty transparent in their notice. They openly acknowledge that reconducting this exam is going to cause real and significant inconvenience to candidates and their families. They know it's a massive burden. But based on what law enforcement found, they decided that maintaining systemic transparency was the absolute highest priority. They explicitly stated that the alternative, just letting a flawed exam stand, would have caused way more lasting damage to public trust.
So how do they actually ensure accountability moving forward? Well, the government of India has stepped right in and mandated a comprehensive inquiry by the Central Bureau of Investigation, the CBI, into all of these allegations. And on top of that, the NTA's official notification commits to extending full, completely unreserved cooperation to the Bureau. They've pledged to hand over all necessary materials, records, the whole shebang. This is a total handover of the investigative process to the highest central authorities. Okay, Section 3. What this actually means for you, the students. Let's talk next steps and logistics.
If you're stressing about the logistics right now, take a deep breath. Let's rapid fire some immediate relief straight from the notice. First, your registration data and your candidature from the May 2026 cycle, completely carried forward. Second, those examination centers you previously opted for, retained. Third, and this is absolutely crucial, there is no fresh registration required. You do not need to fill out those agonizing forms again. And finally, the entire process of reconducting the exam is going to be funded completely by the NTA's own internal resources.
Let me just make that last point as crystal clear as possible. Zero. There will be absolutely zero additional examination fees levied on any student for this retest. You're not paying for this second exam. Actually, the financial remedy goes a step further than just a free retest. The examination fees you already paid for that canceled May 3rd exam, those are going to be fully refunded to you. So just to summarize the financial impact here, the NTA is returning your original money, and they're using their own internal funds to organize and run the upcoming retest. Which brings us to Section 4, next steps and official updates. Now, the NTA made it a point to specifically warn students about this. You must rely only on official agency channels for verified retest dates and the reissued admit card schedules. They said those are going to be communicated in the coming days. On the flip side, you need to actively disregard all the unverified reports and rumors circulating on social media. We all know that in an information vacuum, panic spreads like wildfire online. The message from the NTA is super clear. Block out the social media noise and wait for the official press releases. So we've covered a lot of ground today, unpacking a truly historic decision by the NTA. From that rapid timeline of cancellation to the massive CBI investigation, right down to the waiving and refunding of your fees. But I want to leave you with this final, kind of provocative thought to chew on. Will these sweeping measures actually be enough to restore trust in the national examination system?
The NTA took these totally unprecedented steps specifically to protect the integrity of the process. But ultimately, whether that trust is actually rebuilt, well, that's going to depend entirely on what the CBI uncovers and how flawlessly this upcoming retest is executed. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep your eyes on those official channels, stay focused, and keep learning.